Thank you very much, Sterling. Good job. Very nicely played. You're obviously very advanced for your young age. I understand you're 12 years old. Is that right?
Yes.
Yes. And this is not one of Chopin's easier etudes by any means. It's one of his more complex works, right?
Yeah.
And reading it is a little tricky as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How long have you been working on this?
6 months.
6 months. Very nice. Okay. Good. Okay. So what we're going to talk about is, I would say, there are two elements for your playing that I would like to touch upon. One, where I feel that physically you could do things a little more easily than effortlessly by learning to be more flexible. Flexible, and the flexibility that is really needed in this etude is mostly between your elbow and your wrist, so that there is always a sense of floating on the keys, rather than playing too much with too much fingers. I would say what I would like to see happening to your hands is developing a more caressing quality. Do you know the word to caress?
Yes.
To do this, like you're, I don't know, petting a cat, for example, and you're petting it very gently. Imagine you're petting a cat. How would you move your hand? Put your hand on your hand like I'm doing, and try to imagine you have a cat in your right hand. Good. Now you're going to caress that cat, or you're going to pet it, right? Gently, right? And it has a fur and it's very silky, right? Good. So what happens in this etude is that what needs to happen is the right alignment between what I would say your shoulder and your fingers by feeling how your right hand could be almost floating on the keys. How do we do that? So the first thing to do is really to feel that your shoulder drops down to the elbow. Can you put your hand in this position like I'm doing? Good. I call this position the chicken position. Wak, wak, wak. This is the chicken position, okay? I'm gonna, if you can put both your arms and do what I'm doing, like a chicken. Good, there you go. And be very flexible in your shoulder and elbows. Good. Now, what I want you to do is, I want you to just play your right hand for a second. And just play the groups of two notes, yeah? By feeling that you have very light. So, right. So it's not so much ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. It's more tiam, 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 ta-dam, ta-dam, ta-dam. Right. But what needs to happen? Well, what needs to happen, Sterling? Between those two groups, two notes, you need to immediately breathe and release. Ta-dam. So when good. So between every you have group. Okay. Between every two, you have a group of a chord and then another note, right? You have your score. Good. Now, imagine that that slur that is giving us the phrasing is not there. And what we're going to do between every two group of notes, like this, we're going to lift and release. So we have ta-dam, pa-dam, pa-dam. Okay, now, is your shoulder very, very loose with your elbow? Because what needs to happen is the elbow needs to be very close to the body, very close, like it's hanging. That's already better. Do you know what I mean by hanging? Yeah. Here, I'm going to put my arm on the piano lead here. Yeah, you can do that too. And I want to feel that my shoulder is hanging and my elbow is totally loose. Can you do that? Do you have very loose elbows?
Yes.
Good. Now, what we want to do, we want to feel that we're releasing between, because when I look at you, what I see is that your wrist is not releasing very well. You stay a little tight, which makes it a little difficult. You want to make this very, very easy. Always the point with Chopin etudes, no matter which ones, is that they need to feel, even though they're difficult, they need to feel easy, not so difficult. For that, we really need to feel how we're really using not only our fingers, but her total arm. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Okay, good. So now, take it a little slower. Do two notes, one group at a time, and then what I want you to feel, Sterling, between the notes, I'd like you to feel that you're really totally relaxed. So relax, 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 relax. Work on your release. Good. Good. Release between every two notes. Ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. Right. So if it looks from the side, it should look like this. I'm not going to play on the keys. Ta-dam, 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 or maybe something like this. Ta-dam, 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 ta-dam. Do you see how much I'm moving my arm?
Yeah.
Good. When you were playing, it looked more like this. Do you see the difference?
Sort of.
Good. So, because what the difference is that I'm really relaxing and breathing with my arm, which is very important when we play the piano. We want to feel always that we have a total release. Do you know a very famous pianist that her name is Martha Argerich? Yeah, I'm sure some of the people in the audience heard their name before, right? Those who have, can you raise your hands? Good. Martha Argerich, you can look her up, is considered maybe the greatest pianist of the 20th and 21st century. She's 80 years old now and she's still performing. I had the very fortune to know her very well and to be a friend. And once we talked about music, and she asked me what I think about technique. What is technique? And I said, to my opinion, technique is the quick release of the fingers and the arm. And she said, exactly. But most people think technique is activating the fingers, which is not. Activating the fingers can only lead to one thing. I mean, it leads to the finger playing and very clearly. But if you don't release, you can't move easily from one note to another, which will make you very fluid on the keys. So what we need to do is always to think like that. So if I were you, I'm going to give you a few tips. We're going to, on the technical side, I would say, what I think would help you is if you really work ta-dam, 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 and you feel as loose as possible. If I was next to you, what I would do as you were playing, and it's a little hard on Zoom, but I'll just show you a little bit. Or maybe, Ivy, are you there? Is Ivy there?
Yeah, she's here.
Ivy, can you go, you're going to help me a little bit. Can you go over to Sterling and stand on his right side? Good. Now, because I understand we have teachers there, right?
Yeah.
Good. Now, why don't you, Sterling, put your hand on the first position of the two notes. And Ivy, what I want you to do, I want you to lift his arm and make sure that when he go to the next one, he's totally dropping. Release. Can you? There you go. But Sterling, your release down should be very quick. Back, back. Try to help him. Good. Now look at me for a second, Sterling. Good job. Look at me for a second. Pop. Quick. Pop. Quick. Can you do it really quick? Ah, nice. Good. Once again. Good. Now look. Good. Now you're. So what do we do? Good. In your practice, that's good, Harry. That really helps because I want him to feel that somebody moves his arm. That's what, if I was his teacher next to him, that's what I would do to you. I would make your arm fly up and fall down. Yeah? So that you feel like you're letting go, you're releasing it. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Good. So this is what I would do for the whole first part and the return. Working slowly, first like ta-dam, 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 on this, and then later on, trying to make those releases very fast. Can you imagine or tell me what do you think in nature, what animal works really fast? And animals usually are, you know, like animals that eat other animals. What do they do very fast in order to get their target? For example, a snake. What does a snake do?
Surround the prey.
Right, and it sends its head and it goes very quickly, forward and immediately back, right? And a snake is very flexible because it really has no bones. It's really a very flexible animal, right? I like to refer on snakes when we're talking about arms. Arms should really feel like snakes. They're very loose and flexible. Yeah? So you work on this and then you try to create, first you do it slowly, release, release, and then you do this quicker, release. But what needs to happen is your arm needs to jump very quickly, back and forth. Ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. And then it becomes very natural. Why don't you try it once slowly and then once fast? Good, that's one line, one phrase. Good. Now how about you try to do it, and this time you're going to make your releases as quickly back down, so your speed is going to go really quickly back. Very good. You're a quick boy. You're a very quick learner. That's great. Yeah? Now, what could you do, Sterling, do you think, with your left hand that is a little bit similar to that? We have a lot of rolled chords in that left hand, right? We have rolled chords, right? Show me how you roll your left hand chord. Good. Now, nice. Okay. How do you think, what do you think you could do with your left hand that is similar to the right hand? So it's the same sensation, the same feeling that your arm is very light and very quick to release. Triam, 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 triam. No, okay. Here's what you're doing. Not all the way. Can I tell you something, Sterling? You're staying too long on the thumbs. That's too long. Play much lighter, and because when you play fast, don't do da 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 da. That's too slow. If you want to play this etude very freely, you need to release your thumbs much quicker. So can you try to feel da da da? Nice. Good. Perfect. Good. And then the same as the other piece, what needs to happen here, your elbow needs to be very quick and very quickly releasing. And go back and forth. Triam, triam, triam. You see my arm? Triam, 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 triam. Very nice. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay, now, so this is what I want you to think about technically how to use your body better. That will help you to play it more fluidly and easily. Do you understand? Especially the A section, okay? We'll talk about the B section later. But right now, so this is more the technical element of the piece. Now let's think about Chopin. What do you know about Chopin? What is Chopin known for?
The weird middle part in the nocturne.
Okay, you mean the weird middle part in this piece?
In the nocturne.
Which nocturne?
Almost every single one of them.
Okay. Okay, I'll tell you what I think Chopin is very known for. Chopin is known for being a composer of a very emotional, heartfelt melodies and singing melodies. In fact, Chopin really believed that the pianist should play like a singer and not like a pianist. So to the few students he had, well, he had many students, but to the few good ones he had, we know from Chopin's letters that he advocated that his students will go and listen to singers and not pianists. In fact, he forbid them from listening to pianists. He said, always go listen to singers and try to make the piano sing. He also told his students that the wrist must always be flexible, totally relaxed, as if nothing, it doesn't exist. That's one of Chopin's landmarks. So what do we know? We know that Chopin needs to be very, very singing. And in many ways, it needs to be very, very poetic, very melodious, very rich, very warm, very generous in many ways. He was a person of a lot of big heart. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So, this etude that you're playing is a little weird. That's why people named it wrong note. But I still, when I hear this wrong note etude, I don't understand what they're saying. Why is it wrong note? Because we have the dissonances, right?
Yeah.
But how about we approach it a little different? We'll approach it with calling it the right note etude. And then what are we going to do? We'll really make every phrase sing. That's how we make magic. If I just play the melody, you play the melody nicely, actually, but I don't feel that you're singing it enough. in order to sing it in. Now, why is it hard? Because it's in the fifth finger all the time. That's why we also call Chopin the composer of the fifth finger. Because most of those beautiful melodies are always on the five and sometimes on the four. Very uncomfortable many times. So what do we need to do here? We need to be able to shape the melody in a way that it really, really sings like a singer. And I always tell my students, when you think like a singer, not just any singer. We know we all sing in the shower. Da, 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 da. That, I don't call that singing. That's called mumbling. I call a singer like thinking like an opera singer. Do you know one opera singer?
I don't know any opera.
No? No? Have you ever heard of Jesse Norman?
No.
No? Kathleen Battle?
No.
No. So I would advise you, first of all, to go listen to some songs on the internet. You could take, Chopin even wrote some songs, but there's lots of songs by all the great composers that wrote to the piano. For example, there's Schubert songs, and there's Beethoven songs, and there's Liszt songs, and there's Rachmaninoff songs, and Schumann songs. All of those wonderful composers, they approach music in a very poetic way, and they love the words and the vocal sound, okay? So sometimes when you're on YouTube, look for songs, opera songs, or not really maybe operas because they can be a little melismatic and a little more recitative, but more songs like Lied or any song by Schumann or that you can find. That will open your ear to this. But now, as we're on this score, what I would like to see is how make that melody. Where is that melody? It's in the top, right? And the problem is it's only in five. Five, five, dee, da, 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 dee, da, dee, 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 da, 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 dee, da, da, boo, boo, boo. And make it very musical and heartfelt and singing. So you have to imagine that you're no longer a pianist, now you're an opera singer. Can you try? Only fifth finger. Okay, good, good. You know all your notes and that's great. But what do singers do? They shape. That means no one note to the next note is the same volume. That's called intonating on the piano. You need to intonate between one note to the other. Ta, ta. For example, I'm no opera singer, but I'm going to try and sing a little bit. So let's say, maybe instead of playing, I'll just sing it to you what I want to hear. I want to hear the inflections of the melody. And then the second part of the phrase. Can you imagine that and create that? Of course you can. Can you do it? Okay, so as you play, do you sing inside?
No.
No. Okay, so that's the first problem. So the first thing you have to do is you have to sing inside. Otherwise, piano playing becomes totally mechanical, kind of notey and not very sensitive, not musical or singing, not, and especially in romantic music, we have to sing. So you need to really sing inside. So can you just now, I'm going to ask you to do one thing. Close your eyes and sing the melody of the first phrase in your head. Great. Now play that melody out loud, but sing inside you, just like you sang when you closed your eyes. That's already better. Especially the end of the phrase, Ti-da-ta-ta. Do you think we can add a little diminuendo? Ti-da-ta-ta, ti-da. Try it again. Ta-ta-ta-ta, ti-da. Lighter as you. Right, that's better. Ti-da-ta-ta-ta-ta. Nice, that's better. So we want to hear in a phrase. A phrase doesn't look like this. Look at me, look at me. A phrase doesn't look like this. All the notes are equal. A phrase always has flexibility. It goes up and down like a wind or like a tree leaves that are moving. Yeah? So as you're playing, ta, 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 make a graph. You know what's a graph? You know a graph, like in math, sometimes you make a graph.
Yes.
Yeah, make a graph with your sound. Ta, sometimes it's higher, sometimes lower, sometimes lower. Ta da da da. Very good. Now we're going to move on a step forward. I'm going to ask you to play hands together. You're going to try and release as much as you can like we did, but you must sing inside. Very nice, but the end of the phrase needs to be softer. Nice. Keep on going to the next phrase. Very beautiful. Now, how does that feel?
Similar.
It feels similar? So I'm going to ask the audience a question. Those who feel it was similar, lift your hand. No, different, lift your hand. Oh, okay. Did it sound a little more musical? Yes, good. Okay. So the audience felt the difference. And I think once you get used to singing inside, you will find the meaning of the music much more. And you'll find that you connect much better. You know, maybe 20 years ago, I had a student, she played both piano and violin. And she came to my lessons, and I felt that something was not quite right, but I wasn't sure. So after a while, I asked her, do you ever sing when you play? Do you sing inside? And she said, no. I said, but how can you play violin, which is an instrument with one voice, without singing? Do you sing when you play violin? She said, no. I said, you know what? Do me a favor. Go to your violin teacher and ask the violin teacher if you should sing inside when you play the violin. So she went to the violin teacher. The violin teacher told her, what? How can you even play if you don't sing inside? It's not possible. So, what's the lesson? The lesson is you need to learn to sing when you play, inside you. If one thing you're going to take from this lesson, well, two things, is that be able to sing everything you play, doesn't matter what it is. Whether it's this or whether, let me show you. So imagine I'm playing a Chopin, another Chopin piece. Now, if I wouldn't sing, it would sound like this. Is it as pretty?
The second one sounds like a robot.
Yeah, exactly, like a robot. Because robots probably don't sing, from what I can imagine. Because they're not humans, right?
Yeah.
Good, there we go. Now, Sterling, I want us to look now in the middle section. That's the most beautiful section in this piece. It's interesting you said the middle sections are weird. Maybe you didn't mean for this one.
Yeah.
You mean this is, you find this weird too?
Yeah, but there is a
Okay.
the middle.
Now,
The middle section is.
now, what do we have here? We have a beautiful, I will say, heart-wrenching melody. What is the melody here?
The left hand.
The left hand, right? And remember how we learned to play a melody? So right, I would like you to now to try and think about your left hand in a much more singing way and flexible, so I have more melody. First of all, our melodies, sorry, yeah. So here's our melody. Is it similar to this? Do you think it's quite similar?
Partially.
Partially, I think it is quite similar. Before, now we have two. It's like a different voice took over the melody. If it was an instrument, what instrument would you attribute this melody to? In an orchestra, which instrument would you give that melody to play?
Strings.
String. Yeah, I would give it definitely to a string. I would give it to a cello. Because the cello has a kind of a very deep, soulful sound. Now, so I would like you again to play just that melody in a very singing way. Remember, you have to sing inside you, right? Okay, wait. Okay, up to here was really great. Now you go to an octaves, right? So we have ta, let me find it. Okay, the octaves again, they shouldn't feel so hard. Look, ta, ti, ta. So, Sterling, right? You know why you get a little harsh? Because when you play octave, I think your hand feels a little small, right? So it's a little tight. And then what happens is the elbow gets a little fixed and hard. So how about we try to play with the same lightness of the elbows? That's better. So you don't hold the notes, you float. Okay, good. Now, let's look at the right hand. It's also, although it's arpeggios, right? But also the arpeggios are very melodic because we have, right? That's kind of a melody on itself, right? So what you could do here, you could be a little more flexible in filling the groups of three. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, da, da, da. Can you try to group the notes with the same? No. Wait, you get a little tight here. I want to show you what I think you should do physically, okay? What you should do physically is you should group things better. Look at me. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. What am I doing? I'm going 1, 2, 3 when I'm always bouncing down on the first of every three. And I'm always moving, look at me, 1, 2, 3, forward to the third note. So, da, dee, da, da, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3. Can you try to do that slowly? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Down on the first. Feeling, are we feeling flexible arms? Are we feeling flexible arms? Can we feel more flexibility? Remember what I said about the arms? They are like what?
Snakes.
Good. Snakes. Can you imagine that your arm is more snaky? One, two, three. One, two. Now, no, I want to see the group. 1, 2. Always one on the first. 1, 2, 3. 1. Okay, nice. So even though it's not our primary melody, it still is a melody. So we're gonna sing it. So ya da da ti da da pa pa da 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1. It's a little bit like a waltz. You know what's a waltz?
Yes.
Yeah, Chopin wrote many waltzes, right? Have you played any?
I think I played one.
You played one? Any one of those?
No. It's my afternoon.
Notice I'm doing the same motion. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. It's like every measure has 3 steps of the waltz in it. 1 theta, 2 theta, pam pam. Can you try to do that and sing that inside as well? One, two, three. All right. Very nice. So now you are cello, whatever that is. And then you have much lighter melody in the right hand, a much deeper sound of melody in the left hand. Cello here, what do you think we have here?
I don't know.
What could it be? It could be strings, it could be even violins. But very lightly, right? Yeah. Okay. So now the main thing is that you're going to sing and you're going to make sure that your melody is more flexible, not so rigid metronomically. With feelings. You know, Chopin is all about love. You know the word love?
Yes.
Good. Do you have an animal? Do you have a pet?
No.
No? Oh, okay. But you can imagine things that you love, right? Maybe your parents, right?
Yes.
Yes? Good. So I want you to play this music with a lot of love. Do you think you could do that?
Okay.
Let's try. Okay, that's better. That's okay. Tell him. That's okay. That's okay. But do you think you could do it a little slower? It doesn't need to be so fast. Two, three, 1, 2. For me, you play too fast. It needs to be a little bit more relaxed. Because you know what Chopin writes here? He writes più lento. Do you see più lento?
Yes.
Più lento means slower. So before was jam pam pa ta da ti ti ta 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 da ti ti ta. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Concentrate on playing more singing and a little slower. Can we try?
Next to the Q lento, it says quarter note equals 168.
168. And can you tell me who wrote it down? Who wrote that tempo down?
The person who made the score.
Good. Who is that? Do you know? You don't know. So that's fine. I don't expect you to know. So the thing is this: every music, many editions have editors. The editors go through the music. Chopin did not put metronome markings. I can tell you that. Okay. And what did your editor? What did he write? 160. What do you say there? 168. What?
For quarter note.
And what do you see in the beginning?
184.
Okay. So proportionally, which one's faster, the first part or the second part?
The first part.
Good. That means we need to slow down the second part. I don't feel a lot of difference in your tempo. Now, I also want to tell you, don't take this metronome marking like it's as something you have to do. It's not a Bible you have to obey. Okay? This is somebody's suggestion. That number. It's just a number. Now let me check that number. I'm curious. What did you say it was?
168.
In my opinion, it should be 156 at the most, somewhere there. It's a little too fast, so I don't know who wrote it, but you know it's very personal. But if you want to sing something and be a little bit more heartfelt, right now it's better you play a little slower. Do you think you could do that?
Yes.
Let's try. So remember, you want to sing and make sure that the phrase has inflections. It's not all the notes the same. Nice. Do you think you can make your thumbs more sensitive? Not all the notes equal. Nice. Sterling, are you familiar with the term rubato?
Yes.
What does rubato mean?
Taking time.
Taking time. You know where the word came from? What's the origin of the word? No, it comes from an Italian word. That word is rubare. Now, think about that word, rubare. What English word is it close to?
I don't know.
Like robbery, like stealing. We are stealing time. We're taking time. Okay? But we are good thieves. We take it and then we give it back. Unlike other thieves who just take and don't give back. Yeah, because we're pianists, we're not real things, right? So we're gonna take a little time and then we're gonna give it back. So what you take a little slower, immediately you push back forward. So I would play ta ti ta ta di ti ti ta 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 ba rubato ya ti ta ta. When you play those repeated notes at the end, that sounded a little technical. What can you do there to make it more special?
That's robotic.
Good, good. You're very smart. You know that? Less robotic. If that's what I heard right, then I would say absolutely. So, da 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 da. Don't play. Yeah, it's really yeah, yeah. And then you go back to the beginning, right? So can you try to do that nicer? This is a transition. Yeah. Think of it like that. Think of it like, yeah, Sterling, think of it like something that melts. Pa, 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 pa. Now, wait. Let's try to sing a little more special on the return. A little gentler. Keep going. Okay. Now, this is where I feel, I don't know about you, but I feel that here, with this thing, Chopin gets a little, he knows he's coming to the end of the piece, right? And he's thinking, okay, I need to find a way out. I need to find a way to the end. Yeah? So something changes here. And then we have this left hand bum 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 bum. This actually comes from what we call the mazurka. But the mazurka, see Chopin often in his pieces he applies a lot of Polish dances. A mazurka is a Polish dance, just like a polonaise is a Polish dance. So you'll see Chopin wrote polonaises. And he wrote mazurkas, many of them. In fact, I don't know how many, but a lot of mazurkas. They're short pieces, they're small, they're very unique. Here. Or the mazurkas, one of the most important element of this is it's a dance. And in that dance, unlike a waltz where the most important beat is the first beat, in the mazurka, the important beat is either the second or the third beat. So he gives them a little accent. And it sounds here that, for me, that part sounds really a la mazurka. Yum, ba, da, dum, ba, and it gives a little humor. So could you play just the left hand and play it like a dance that sounds the same? Conero suggests one thing. Difficulties. I think you're holding the notes a little too much. Maybe when you play, sorry, can I? Yeah, I'm not sure that the 4 is a good fingering for that place. If I were you, I would consider changing this 1, 5, 3, 1, 5, 3, 1, always 1, 5. Because 5 is an octave and it's very comfortable for the hand. That's much better. It sounds much easier already. Good. So now let's play it, but let's also give it a little bit of a different character. Maybe a little lighter and a little more joke-like. Can you try? Yum piada. Yeah, but let's play hands together. Can you play hands together? Okay, nice. But what's the main melody? But what's the melody? Main melody is in the right hand. Ya pa pi da pa pa da ti ti da da. And then the left hand. Ti ti da 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 ti ti da da. Kind of contrasting, giving you a little bit of a jump there. Can you try to feel that? You sing the right hand and you give a little jump on the top. Yes, keep going. Nice. But you know, this is where you could be a little more artistic. I call it artistic in your sound, especially when you play this down, the last note. I would really try to change it. The last note, don't play it down like this. The piano needs to resonate. Yampa. Very nice. You see, that was so much nicer because now you had ta, time, and two. Let's try it once again. Kevin, can you feel your arm? Sorry, can you feel your arms flying a little more freely? Yeah, go up. Good. Yes, very nice. But you know, you could do even here a little more on this. A little more free motion instead of just always the piano sound resonate much better, especially in a high register when we pluck the last note. I would do this and not this because this closes the sound. It feels close. This opens the sound up. Can you try? Play from there. Not so fast. Ta, 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 ta. And can you let it be heard? Do you think we should finish and then just take off, or should we create the time after the sound? Can you try? So you should keep the hand up. You should keep your hand up and not stop when the sound is still resonating. Let it be long. You need to hang longer. Ta, 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 ta. Let's look at the note. How long is it? It's a half note with the fermata, right? So the speed was ta, 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 1, 2, 3. Imagine that. One, two, three, finish. Okay, okay, good job. I think you responded very well, and you you think about those things, okay?
Okay.
As you keep practicing these pieces, it's gonna be beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay?